Welcome back to another midweek devotional. Today, I want to kind of keep the video short and I want to talk about the compassion of Christ. And the text that we're going to use comes from Matthew chapter 14. And in Matthew chapter 14, it begins with the death of John the Baptist. Now, John the Baptist was Jesus' cousin. John the Baptist is the one who said, I prepare a way for one that's greater than me, and he was referring to Jesus. John the Baptist is the one that baptized Jesus. So they were cousins, they were friends. Jesus recognized him as someone who understood and knew the truth and preached the truth despite opposition. And so Matthew chapter 14 begins with John the Baptist's death. And then it goes into the fact that Jesus found out about this. So Matthew chapter 14 verse 13, it says, Now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat to a desolate place by himself. And so he gets bad news. And the first thing that he wants to do and desires to do is to withdraw and be by himself. And when I read that, I'm like, well, that's me. Like when I get hurt, when there's pain in my life, or when I find out some bad news that really affects me, I'm like, I just need a moment to just be by myself. And this is Jesus also withdrawing. He's isolating himself for a moment. And I think that he really just wanted to pray probably, right? Because he's Jesus. So his first instinct was probably, let me just go withdraw and be with God and let me pray. And I think that first step is very important, because I think that we can withdraw, in the midst of a tough time or midst of bad news. We can withdraw. It's very human instinct for us to do so. But I think that when we withdraw, we need to, at that same time, in that moment where we're withdrawing, we need to present our burdens to God in prayer and worship. I think that that's such a crucial and pivotal moment in our spiritual relationship with him, that yes, through our pain, we're still praying. Through our pain, we're still seeking God. And I think that when Jesus did that, it would just encourage me, like, yeah, I do the same thing, Jesus. I want to withdraw. But I can't help but think that he just withdrew to pray. And what's so, I guess, annoying about it in the text is that he didn't get to withdraw. He didn't get to be by himself, though he desired to go to a desolate place. He got on a boat and he went to go to this desolate place so that he could be by himself, but they didn't let him, right? There were crowds that heard it and followed him on foot to where he went. So he didn't get that chance in that moment to be alone and to pray. And yet the responsibilities of life followed him, right? His ministry continued to follow him in a moment where he just wanted to be weak for a second, in a moment where he just wanted to probably just be sad for a moment. The world and the people that were following him didn't allow him that moment, and yet he had compassion on them. And I believe in your life right now, wherever you are, if you're going through a tough time, if you're going through a tough season, if you just had some bad news, God has compassion on you. He has compassion on your weakness. I feel like our weakness is a perfect opportunity to meet God, because he is a comforter. He is a provider. He has compassion on us. He's a God that has compassion on our pain and our suffering and our grief. And with that compassion comes a miracle, right? He had compassion on the crowd that followed him, and they were hungry. And instead of just like telling them, I just need a moment to be by myself, he said, let's feed these people. They're hungry. I have compassion on them. Let's feed them. And the miracle happened. So when God has compassion on you and you turn to him and you follow him, there's a miracle that happens. It's a miracle that could happen, and it may be as simple as him helping you heal from that grief and from that pain. It's a miracle that could come out of the situation when you turn to him. You never know, but we know from this text two things. God has compassion on you. And the second thing is, he can do a miracle because he has compassion on you. Because of his compassion for you, he can do a miracle in your situation with the grief and pain itself. You never know, but don't limit him. They didn't know that they were going to give God 5 loaves and 2 fish and they were going to feed 5,000. They didn't know that. They just say, you know what, Lord, I'm going to give you what I have. I'm going to give you this grief. Because you have compassion on me, because you are merciful, God, I'm going to give you this situation. I'm going to surrender it to you. I'm not going to go about doing this thing or reacting to this thing the way that I want to. Instead, I'm going to look to you and turn to you, and I'm going to give you my 5 loaves. And Jesus will feed the 5,000 with it, whatever that may mean for you in your life. Just know God has compassion on you. Jesus has compassion on you, and he wants to do a miracle. It's a perfect alley-oop for him. Your grief, your pain is a perfect alley-oop for him to do a miracle in your life. So I hope that this short word encouraged you today. I pray that you will be blessed and stay encouraged. Peace.